So you think the top is in? Well, I tend to disagree, and here's why. What's up, guys? Critter here with another market update. A little bit going on in the market at the moment. We are getting the sell-off. We are approaching levels that I did outline last week. But I'd like to start and say that this is all normal when it comes to a bull run. I think if you're on the sidelines at the moment, you're going to find some great entries on some of your favorite altcoins. I'll touch on a few of my favorite altcoins today. Don't get too excited that just, large cap. Oh, there's one little secret one, which I actually think I mentioned last week. Looks like shit. Ha! 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 All right, guys, but in all seriousness, people have got money on the line here in this crypto market. So let's get straight into the charts and we'll see what I think is going to happen over the next week into the end of the year. And I even mentioned when I think the market's probably going to top out. Let's get into it. Oh, you love my glasses. New ones. Right, first up, weekly time frame, as we always do, and we are still in a very clear uptrend. A lot of people are shitting bricks here with this SFP. Me, not so much. We had one exactly the same here. But I guess the biggest difference is this wasn't an all-time high. This is. So, yeah, a little bit nervous, but I do feel like that we will get a monthly close, which is in like 12 days or something like that, which will be a red, well, in my case, a gray candle. It's about time that we had a bit of a pullback. Looking at the monthly, you could probably look at some kind of reaction off these levels. We're already tagged this top one, so maybe if we lose that, we'll come down here. It's probably worth drawing in this weekly order block here, and we might get a tag into there and before we bounce. And then the rest of the year, we should see some really bullish price action. What we don't really want to see is like this. Then yeah, that's going to be really, really fucking shit if that happens. If I was to say, probably more than likely not going to happen. I'd say there's a 10% chance of we losing this low here, which is 100k. Now on the daily, it was a classic SFP, and now it looks like we're going to take this range low here. I actually don't have that as my range low. I'm going to show you where I am on the 4 hour with this. I just use this setting on the left here. It's called the fixed range volume profile. I'm going to start it here or thereabouts. Pretty rough. Pull it across. And I've been using this as my range. Okay, so the value area high of this range, the value area low of this range, and the point of control. So virtually in this whole range, 80% of the volume has happened between these lines here. And these are levels that, big institutional players will play against. Right now, we've definitely lost this range where the bottom is going to be. Let's try and find that. It's either, I think, this 100-day EMA. It also lines up with the developing year value area high. Okay. And I think if we lose these levels, we're pretty well fucked. We could come close to that 100k area, which is developing year VWAP. So we really want to see a bounce soon. Where that is, I'm not quite sure. But what we really want to do is in this downtrend here from the high is we want to see a really, really strong 4 hour candle. It made sense to me that this bottom was the low. And we put in this nice 4 hour candle, and then I thought we'll just fill that FEG and then reverse. Obviously we didn't. I was wrong there. We did reject off the 4 hour EMAs. And it fell through. So there's no point trying to get into Bitcoin right now until we do get that nice up thrust candle, and then we can go down. It's no different to here, right? So we had these candles coming down, we had a bit of an FVG here, price has come back in here, filled it, another FVG, filled it, so on. This is another FVG, filled it. So until we can reverse that to the upside, I'd certainly be waiting for something like that before you go all in. We also had a nice 4 hour bull div here, which I thought would be, another great entry. I actually didn't take it, but yeah, it didn't play out. So the RSI is still quite low here on the 4 hour. If we just quickly look on the daily, still got a lot of room to go. All right, so maybe we do for the rest of like the next 2 weeks, just chop sideways down to here. So keep that into consideration. Unless, of course, we get like we got 3 hours for the daily to close. If we get a really good push now, back into the range, that could be a really good bullish sign as well. But I don't think that's going to happen right now. We all know that the Bitcoin CME gaps get closed mostly, but now there's a lot of institutional money coming into Ethereum. It kind of makes sense that if there is gaps on this chart, they probably are going to get filled. Now, don't quote me on this. I haven't back tested it, but yeah, it's something I'm going to keep in mind. So in short, I think we're going to reverse here somewhere before we make a new all-time high at 137k. And then I'm going to figure out what the next move is. It all comes down to what's going on in the macro environment for us. DAX has been really good with that. I'm not going to fit bearish at all until we lose this. And even then, it just could be an SFP come back up and go, right? So they're the things you just got to look for. But we haven't really done that the whole way up. And that might not even really be the low. Like this is the low we really want to protect. But that's down to 75 grand. So if we do lose that, we're really fucked. So Ethereum, there's a daily order block here. I've got it outlined here on the chart. That was looking like resistance for quite some time. Then we broke through. So it's only fair that we're going to close that gap I mentioned before and probably retest this, turn it into support, and then off we go. But I do think it might not be sharp. If it is, that's really good. But it might just be like this, and then off we go. Probably, hopefully not that extended because that's going back into December. But hopefully we get that over the next few weeks. I just don't think we get to this all-time high, this close to all-time high without taking it. I think that's just crazy. Wrong, anything can happen. And I guess what we want to see is once we get above this level, is using as support, and off we go. My target is 7.5 grand this cycle. I think it's fair if we just take this fib move from here to here. And yeah, that's well, $7,332. I think that's a really, really good target for this cycle. There's a lot. I did see like predictions of $80,000, which no, it's not going to happen. Yeah, I'll definitely be taking a lot of profit off when we do get up to that level, and then I'll be looking at doing a few rotations in some other alts. We'll just see what's going on in the macro space, but I really think that we really want to be paying attention on what might run next cycle. Sui is one for me. I think there's still a lot of, there's still a lot of coins that haven't been unlocked, which I'll show you the chart in a minute, but I think it will really shine. Like Sol did. Well, let's talk about Sol now anyway. So it would have been great to buy some Sol down here for long-term holds. This is when everyone said it was dead. Now I can guarantee you Sui's going to do exactly the same here. And then the next bear market will look like this. And then, it'd be amazing if we could, average price, let's say here, and just take its old all-time high, which is 1,200% move. So that's a 12x. So if you put in a grand, it's going to be 12 grand, which you don't even have to think. Ape buy, ape sell. For me, this isn't the greatest chart, to be honest. I still think that we are putting in a bit of a head and shoulders here. Unfortunately, I do think we'll see that neckline again before we go again, which is probably not great, because if that happens, then there's going to be significant pullbacks across the market. Sol's just not going to die in the ass like that, unless something internally goes horribly wrong, like with the team, or something happens it's really bad, which these things happen in crypto. So I don't want to spend too much on Solana. I just think there's better rewards elsewhere at the moment, especially with Ethereum. Yeah, I think that's probably the best play at the moment. Righto, so the next one is Sui, looking really, really strong for me. Like we're in this nice uptrend down here. We're just drawing this trend line. This is a low high from this high here, but it's obviously we put a new higher high here. And all we got to do is make sure we don't lose this level here, and keep going. I do think that we'll probably see these levels once again in the bear market, and that's probably a good opportunity to load up. But honestly, like this could see some crazy shit like this, up to over $10, peak of the cycle, and then it just like Sol did, just come down here, come down here, come down here, and then just accumulate for a little bit before going for the next cycle. All right, so they're the things you want to be thinking ahead of, right? Especially if you want to accumulate wealth over an extended period of time. It's not all about getting rich overnight, or even just this cycle. If this is your first cycle, or even if you haven't even put any money in crypto yet, there's still obviously going to be money to be made on some of these coins, but you just got to be thinking ahead as well. So I think for me, that's really given me the ability to capitalize and not make dumb mistakes, because one thing on my side is time. And if you've got time on your side, then you're going to be fine. Now, if we look at Sui on the daily time frame, we are just using this developing yearly value area high as resistance. Once we, flip that, it will be game on. But for now, we're just going to be rotational between this level here and this level here, and this level here, which is the value area developing for the year. Now, yeah, hopefully we bounce off the VWAP here and go. Worst case, will probably come down to here, put a new higher low, and then go. And that kind of lines up to what I just said about Sol as well. I'm just proving to you guys right now, you don't have to complicate this. Like I've virtually just been on weekly and daily time frames. This is the best way to do your swings, right? Most of you probably know I'm completely 100% in ETH at the moment. I think there's a really, really good narrative behind there. And I've been waiting for some kind of pullback like this. Dropped 13%. And some of the ETH narrative coins that I won't mention today, they've probably dropped 30% from that last local high. So my capital is safer being in Ethereum than rather distributing into other coins that fit the narrative for ETH at the moment. And then once I kind of see a bottom, I'll be looking at drip feeding into some of these other projects to get a better return on my capital that way. But there's always pullbacks, guys. That's what I'm trying to get to. So just keep that in mind before you start aping. Might as well do XRP while we're here. Look, it's not great, honestly. Again, it's done the big SFP here. If we put in the Fibonacci from this low to this high here, which was a really good impulse move, we might see support at the 0.618. Let's chuck on some indicators. All right, which also lines up with the developing year VWAP. So what I'm doing already is building a little bit of confluence. Then we can put on the EMAs. It's a little bit lower than the 100-day EMA. But yeah, without looking at this too much, we're probably going to see a bounce here about $2.58, okay? And I honestly think just looking at this on the weekly time frame that we are putting in a bit of a distribution here with the UTAD. So we might just see like just slow grind in here. And then what you want to do is you want to see how we react down here. If we lose this and then fall, then I'm sorry, we're no good. But if we lose this, put a spring in, we could do something like that. But this is probably not the right time frame to do this because this is now going into November next year. So if we just rewind a little bit, probably on a smaller scale, like a hard dump, reclaim and like that into the new year. All right, that's what you want to look for this to be a reaccumulation rather than distribution. Now, the total chart. This is the best chart to have a bullish bias on, okay? We had this old high here. We've maintained to stay above it. We could just bounce off here, put in on a lower time frame here, put in a higher low here, and keep going. So the total chart has been king for me. If we go back here for the bear market, it was really clear back through here. That was a level we needed to get above. And then even when it comes to things like this, getting this low here, for example, like it was just really, really easy way to navigate the rest of the market. Okay, so never rule out the total chart. You can even see this old all-time high has been acting as support here several times. So yeah, it'd be good just to see support here stay on the total. This is probably the most bullish chart out of everything I've just shown you right now, which is good for everything else. All right, so I do think that we are seeing a bit of a bottom soon. If not now, we're getting pretty close. USDT chart, looks like, we are retesting back up here. I still think I'm still going to go with it. We're going to top out once this line comes down here, okay? We're definitely going to take these lows here. I had to hold a gun to my head and said, what is a definite sure thing? This would be the closest thing I could think of, right? Even if we do come up here a bit more, down here, reclaim, put the cycle top in, and then we enter the bear market. So whatever you see on this chart, the opposite happens on Bitcoin and all the other tokens. I'll just quickly touch on my altcoin chart. I just want to mention again when this was up here. So if this number goes down, that means capital is going from Bitcoin and stable coins into altcoins, okay? And when we topped out here with this SFP in this order block here, I actually rotated all my Bitcoin and Ethereum, and I think my account is about 40% better off now just doing that. I did say that I think that will probably come down here before we do retest this one here, but looks like we're coming up for the retest now. Or what's this, the weekly chart, still plenty in the week, could probably still just go on its course before doing this. Top of the alt season could be here. And lastly, Plume, which I mentioned in my last update, it's not looking great, guys. As you can see, it just won't get above this level here yet. The best thing for us now would be to see this level here act as support, lose it, reclaim, show strength again, and then hopefully reclaim this. But if we can get into some positions down here, and then we do get this, and then it chops for fucking months there, we're sitting really happy because we got in a really good entry of something like this, okay? So I love it when you can get in a nice entry like that. You don't need to get in the bottom. That would just be suicide because price can just keep going down like this. I've seen it happen all the time. Go have a look at the sushi chart. You could lose a big part of your bag doing this. So you just want to see that strength, reclaim up here. That's the best scenario. I don't know what's going to happen, but we're just going to have to play. It might not even lose that. It might just bounce off here, which I still wouldn't get in, and then I'd have to get in up here higher. That's it, guys. I hope you're all fucking killing it. And if you're not, we got crypto decoded. It's 69 Australian dollars. Link is in the description. Honestly, I don't know why we decided to sell that so cheap, but we have. But it's not going to stay at this price. So please go get it now. It'll teach you everything from what Bitcoin is to how to place your first trade. All right. All right, guys. See you later.